Hello, I'm Morgan Harper Jones, and this is The Hardest Part.
Hello, and welcome to the inaugural episode of The Hardest Part, the show that unravels the stories behind the most challenging songs ever written. I'm Kieron Banerji, and joining me in the studio on this episode is the incredible Morgan Harper Jones. When I first started talking to our engineer Max about making The Hardest Part, we spent hours playing each other's songs by artists that I wanted to have as guests on the show. Funnily enough, we both pulled out Morgan's record Up to the Glass. We both agree it's one of our favourite records of the past few years. We spoke at length about the immaculate production, genius songwriting, and beautiful sincerity of the record. It only made sense that Morgan was the first guest I invited on The Hardest Part. When I spoke to her about the song she picked, Main Character, she shared a story that really captures the vulnerable and personal nature of songwriting. Morgan had been battling a serious case of writer's block for weeks, trying to write songs that she thought she should be writing, but nothing just felt right. She was second-guessing her instincts, and with a self-imposed deadline looming to present new material to her label and managers, the pressure was mounting. The night before the meeting, Morgan hit a breaking point. She was overwhelmed with stress and frustration, feeling like none of the songs were good enough. Morgan decided to let go of her expectations and write something just for her. That's when the song started to take shape. It was born from a place of honesty, as Morgan poured out her regrets and the things she felt ashamed of. Make sure to stay tuned to hear Morgan play the track in full at the end of this episode. But before that, here's my chat with Morgan Harper Jones.
This song was definitely probably the hardest one. When I did sit down and write it, it really did come quite naturally. However, it was written after maybe a couple of months of writer's block and so much tension and so much, I think, fear for me. I'd signed this record deal and I had to deliver these songs for this album and nothing was coming. And yeah, I think I wrote this at a bit of a breaking point, which I think in turn then kind of broke me open, and I was then able to write this song. There was so much emotion in writing it, I think, because I had been boiling under the surface for so long.
Yeah. And do you feel like this song actually sort of paved the way for the rest of the record?
Yeah, it really did. It really did. So I'd had this couple months period where I was supposed to be writing, and I had told the label, I'm so bad at if I've not got a deadline, I will literally just take ages to do stuff. So I told the label and my managers, it would really help me if I had a deadline and then I'll deliver some songs and then we'll listen to them. And I thought that pressure was going to help. But actually I totally buckled under that pressure, and I was trying to write, and I think I was trying to write what I thought I was supposed to write, what I thought they would really want to hear from me for this debut record on a pop label. Everything just felt really crap. And then I was really questioning myself and doubting myself as a writer. Yeah, it was literally the night before this meeting that we were going to have to show these songs. And I was being a big drama bean and had a massive meltdown. And it got to 8 or 9 p.m. and I was like, I need to just stop now and just show them what I've got. Even though I'm not proud of any of these songs that I've written, I'm just going to have to face showing them whatever I've kind of managed to put together. And I took myself for a shower and I was feeling really sorry for myself, and I was like, I don't want to be like this. Why have I made all this pressure and drama for myself? Why I'm the only one putting the pressure on and making this so difficult. I don't want to be like this, but I am. I was like, maybe I'm just going to sit for half an hour and just write something for me that's not for them, and they'll probably hate it, and that's fine. I think at that point I was like, I don't want to do music anyway. They're going to hate anything that I love, so I'm just going to do something for me and screw them, whatever. And then I ended up went to one of those holes where you kind of forget to eat, forget to do anything, forget to go to the bathroom, and ended up writing this song and recorded it. I don't think I'm going to play it then, but for me at least, I've written something that feels like me. And then the next day I played them all the songs And then I played them that one and they were like, whoa, we love that one. And it just blew my mind because I was like, what the hell? Like, it's not me, who I really am, versus kind of doing well in music or writing songs that will be hits. It's like me being myself.
Well, it's total authenticity, right? And it's
yeah,
like,
exactly.
The song kind of wasn't even like a song for you at first. It seemed like it was like a kind of verbalization of your process and like how what your headspace was as an artist at the time.
Yeah, it's exactly that. And I think there was like so much shame in being an artist and not being able to create that then I think that song became a bit of a kind of vessel for like loads of other things that I felt really ashamed of. It kind of was like a big shame dump.
Being honest with yourself is sometimes like the hardest thing to do, right? Like people think being honest to someone else's face is the hardest, but actually it's like confronting it about yourself is probably the trickiest thing you can do.
I think so, because there's loads of like ugly things in there. Like when I've talked to people about the details of like what it's about, some people have been a bit like, oh really? And I'm like, well, yeah, like I think that's why I was carrying so much shame, because they were kind of like regrets I'd had and mistakes that I'd made where like I hadn't been a good friend or like hadn't been a good kind of human to another human.
It's always the same these days, banging on the glass, and it still happens. The sweetness in the aftertaste, banging on the glass, like it matters, like it matters.
What I'm always really interested in, especially when it's a song that I'd been playing the song on repeat even before we met, and I feel like I know the song, but I always like to know what was going through your head when you wrote that first line, right? Where did that idea spark from, and kind of how did it evolve from that moment?
When I kind of got to that breaking point when I wrote the song, I'd been having therapy because I was like, there's something wrong with me. Like, I've got this amazing opportunity in music and I'm finding it hard to want to do anything. Like, I was finding everything really difficult. And also, at the time, I was living in Manchester, but I was driving down to London all the time. So I didn't have a life in Manchester because I was never there. And then I hadn't moved to London yet. So I couldn't really have a life here. I was really lonely and I think I had too much time with my own thoughts. I was kind of talking about a lot of stuff in therapy. And one of the things that I was feeling super, super regretful about was kind of my like friendship situation at the time. I think, like I said, now I'm looking back mostly because I couldn't make any plans with anybody to sustain like in-person friendships. So I was just like not seeing any of my favourite people, which I didn't realise how much that affects your brain. Like, thank God I can see all those lovely people now.
I was 15 by a bathroom sink, 2 confessions. You were trusting, but I couldn't keep it.
When I sat down and wrote that first line, I was 15 by a bathroom sink. I was thinking about this time when I was 15, and I had this amazing friendship group. It was like the first time that I'd settled in like a friendship group. And one of my friends told me a secret and I didn't keep it. I told it to someone else and I lost that friendship group. And I think because I was feeling super lonely because of circumstances at the time, my brain had kind of put that loneliness together with like me not being a good friend. Like, I'm 27 now. I wrote this song when I was 25. So 10 years later, I was still carrying so much regret for losing such an amazing group of friends. It even makes me upset now, like, because she was so amazing to me. I'd never had any friends like in high school. And like, I think losing that friendship has like scarred me enough now that like, I'm like the best friend ever to have. Like, and I was only 15 as well. Like, I totally need to forgive myself. My brain put those two things together and I was just a little bit sad all the time.
For you, what has writing this song and releasing this song and playing this song live, done for those feelings? You know, has it been a release for you to be able to talk about it in this very genuine way?
Yeah, totally. Like, and the more I've kind of gone down the road of like therapy journey and just understanding human brain, my own human brain and other people's human brains, like I do think that this song is connected so much because I think to an extent, like there is stuff for like everybody to let go of. Like everybody, like shame is just like a normal emotion that everybody feels.
Yeah.
Nowadays, I think shame can be really isolating for people. I think this one's connected the most because it's kind of like the people I've spoken to that have said like this song has kind of helped them in some way. They all have kind of cited some kind of like, oh, I felt really ashamed of this. And this song made me feel like I'm normal to feel like that. And that actually everyone's got stuff that they would change. It doesn't mean you have to like isolate. It's just like part of being a human being.
You mentioned sort of what, you know, some of your fans or what other people have told you about how they felt when they heard the song. What do you want to convey to your audience? Is there something you wanted them to feel or get out of the song?
I think because I wrote this one, like this one's just for me. But then obviously later on when we decided actually no, this is going to be on the album, I think for this one, I'm such a believer that there's two types of songs. There's types of songs that like hold your hand and go like, I'm a human as well. I'm a person too. And like I feel that as well. And you're not on your own. And you don't have to feel kind of ashamed for feeling ashamed. Or you don't have to feel ashamed for having regrets or whatever. And then I think there's like a different type of song that goes like, you're feeling really shit. Let me take you over here and like just get you out of like a crap space so that you can function as a human being for a little while. So I think I knew that when we came to do the production stuff that I really didn't want to kind of mess with this song being almost like a little like process of like feeling all the shame and then like screaming it all out at the end, because in the recorded version there's like a massive like screaming section at the end, and then hopefully by the end of the song you can be like, okay, cool, like great, I've absolutely got that out. Yeah, exactly. Something that will hold someone's hand but also not leave them being like, oh my god, like like existential, because that felt like, yeah, like a mean thing to do.
Yeah, I actually love that that part of the song on the record actually, and it actually segues really nicely into this next question. But those backing vocals, we were texting when you were on the way here. I just had a stressful commute. I think you had just had a stressful commute, and you were like, "Do you want to screen the backing vocals on this?" I was like, "Fuck yeah, I do."
Yeah,
that's the most therapeutic thing I could do right now.
Yeah, it's so important. Like,
yeah.
It's so important. I'm such a believer that like, and yeah, emotions are just like energy and stuff in your body. Like, you really have to get it out. Like, I love a big like punching a pillow fest. Like, whenever I'm feeling angry.
When you said that, I was like, we were joking, and then I was like, actually, you know what? Maybe there's a deeper question here.
Well, they do, don't they? You hear of all these like kind of like artists over the years doing like, is it called like primal scream therapy or something, where they're just like at the top of a mountain. It does. I think it does help.
It's always the same these days, banging on the glass, and it still happens. The sweet mess in the aftertaste, banging on the glass.
I want to talk about some of the lyrics. They're pretty powerful. The lyric "banging on the glass." I guess now that we've spoken about it, it makes more sense to me. Are you banging on the glass on the outside to yourself or to someone else?
To myself. I think because I was constantly kind of getting like almost like little flashbacks back to these moments that I've had where I've done something that I thought, oh my god, imagine if I hadn't done that, I would have had all those friends in that group. Or like, especially at the time where I was really regretting that. And I would kind of almost imagine going back to that moment where I told that secret and like be like, don't do it, please don't. But you can't do that.
I first heard this record, the whole record of that matter, like when I was going through a time of self-reflection myself. And this is why this track like stood out to me so much. Just like shit. Yeah, like when that is like a very hard thing to do, but also a very necessary thing to like just give yourself a hard time about the past, right?
Yeah,
like you're
totally. To be so boring. That's why like shame is actually really helpful, because when we were all like living in tribes and stuff, if you did something that would hurt the tribe, you need to feel a bit of shame.
Yeah.
Firstly, so that you never do it again, because you never want to feel like that again. And
bad, you probably get speared or something.
yeah, exactly. and secondly, so that the rest of the people in the tribe were like, okay, we feel like you've suffered enough. We trust you. Like that, you know, you've kind of been punished by yourself.
Yeah.
You're not going to do that again. We can trust you. So like, and we still have those monkey brains, even though we've got like proper clothes on and we're sat in like a beautiful room. Like we're still just monkeys.
Yeah.
Like so yeah. Like I think having those feelings are really important. Carrying those feelings around for the rest of your life, really not great.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, like you say, I think it's so important to reflect on those things so that you kind of, not to sound cheesy, but learn the lesson from it.
Yeah.
And then you don't lose any more friends, because otherwise, yeah, if you never learn the lesson, then that's just really sad. You'd just be really lonely, really sad.
And I saw your new love. She looks like me, but kind. A happy ending. At least some peace of mind. But there I go again, stealing the credit. I can't be the hero. I'm too fucking selfish.
First verse is about that friendship, and then the second verse was me reflecting on a relationship that I'd had. I'd been out of this relationship for like 2 years when I wrote the song, but I remember when I met this person, they were like super confident and like they were pursuing music as well. Yeah, they were like doing really well, and then they got, but they were super, super busy all the time, and like the relationship was a little bit like, I don't know, is it going to work? Is it not going to work? And I don't think I was that supportive of them doing their music, because it kind of like, it was the thing that was keeping us apart. And I was only 18, so I was just like a selfish 18-year-old.
I was going to say, is this I can't be the hero, I'm too fucking selfish?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I was just super stupid and it's still a teenager. And they like got completely burnt out with stress and like couldn't do music anymore. And there was a little bit of me that was like, oh, great, now I get to be with me all the time. Which is so selfish of me. Like, I was totally thinking of myself. And I think, like I said, they'd gone from being this like super confident person and through loads of different life things as well, and the music just generally not working out for them. I don't think I kind of was a good partner to them in the 4 years that we were together. And then like do, I think I would gone down some rabbit hole on Instagram and kind of stalked the person that they were with then. And she just looks so lovely. And I was like, wow, like I would want to be friends with her. Like she's like beautiful, and we both had brown hair, and we both had like, I think she had brown eyes as well. So I was like, she's going to be so good for this person, because like she just looks really, really lovely and kind. And I think after like the years that he'd had being beaten around doing music, like you'd get beaten around, I think he probably, yeah, like he seemed like he was really happy.
And then 19, I knew all your songs. I started writing to get your attention. And when you got sick,
I love hearing from the artist all the nuances of what to listen out to in a track, because you then have a completely different experience. I remember there was a track on an album of a band I really like, and I was listening through to it and I was like, this is just really shit. And then I listened to the lead singer talk about all these nuances in the lyrics, the instrumentation, and I listened back to it and it made me cry. I went from being like, this is subjectively shit, to being like, fuck. And I remember I was on a plane as well. I was like a mess. I was like, I think I had like too many drinks before I got on the plane. I was like, oh my God, what the hell? And I was like, isn't that incredible how like the story behind something can completely change the experience of something? And the audience are about to hear a very intimate, very beautiful, stripped back version of the song. But is there anything you want them to listen out to?
In this stripped back version, I think I was like trying my best to like think about the people that this song's about, and almost like it feels like a bit of an apology in a song. Almost like my way of being like, I've really suffered with this and I promise that like I'm never going to do this again. You can probably hear how still angry I am in the I don't want to be like this verses. I think in the I don't want to be like this sections, I feel like I'd spat a few times while I was singing it because it still like really pisses me off, I think.
I was 15 by a bathroom sink, 2 confessions. You were trusting, but I couldn't keep it. And I lost you too. I still regret it. I still dream about you. I don't wanna be like this, but I am. I don't wanna hurt you like this, but I can. And then 19, I knew all your songs. I started writing to get your attention. And when you got sick, I let you bench your dream just to keep you just thinking of me. I don't wanna be like this, but I am. And I don't wanna hurt you like this, but I can. It's always the same these days, banging on the glass. It still happens. The sweet mess in the aftertaste, banging on the glass, like it matters, like it matters, like it matters. And I saw your new love. She looks like me, but kind. A happy ending, at least some peace of mind. But there I go again, stealing the credit. I can't be the hero, I'm too fucking selfish. It's always the same these days, banging on the glass, and it still happens. The sweet mess in the aftertaste, banging on the glass, like it matters, like it matters.
Thanks to Morgan Harper Jones for coming on the show. Make sure to subscribe and follow The Hardest Part wherever you get your podcasts. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and all other major streaming platforms. This episode of The Hardest Part was recorded at the Thin White Duke Studios in London's Soho. It was recorded by Max Walker, and it's mixed and produced by myself. Photos from today's session are by Callum Baker, and additional videography is by Giovanni Almonte. Thanks for tuning in.